been bringing you into the groove. You were enjoying the music Waste Time by Vincent Augustus, and that is courtesy of freemusicarchive.org. Welcome back to another episode of Body Kindness, and whether you're here for the first time or you've been around for years, I want to thank you for choosing Body Kindness. I believe that this philosophy is, hands down, the best way you can create a better life and improve your health. With Body Kindness, you're going to make choices that matter to you, and you'll never diet again. You'll build self-compassion in a place of shame. Whether you feel shame about your body or your worthiness or how you fit into a society that is constantly telling you that your body is a problem and you're not doing enough for your health. I want you to know that you can quit. You can say, I'm done and I want something more. I want to be good to myself. I want to speak to myself like I would a friend. I care about my health, but this body bashing, these weight loss pursuits aren't working. And then you need to go after it. Draw a firm line. Give yourself a great big hug and commit to doing something different this year. So to help, I recommend you dive right into the Body Kindness book and audiobook. For a limited time, you can get the print copy signed as well as an invitation to a free group coaching call with me, and you get to keep the recording. So visit bodykindnessbook.com/breakthrough to find out how your purchase of the audiobook or print book can earn you a free call with me in 2019. If you have the book, maybe you've been trying to make changes and you feel like something's missing, and you might be right. This could be a time where you are looking for more tailored support. And we could do this in a one-on-one setting. We could do it virtually, or you can join one of my small groups that are now forming. If you're ready for a Body Kindness breakthrough, then I'm ready for you. It's all online. You can learn about it at bodykindnessbook.com/breakthrough. And for a limited time, you can get a big discount with the code BEKIND. That's BKIND. And when you sign up for your small group, what you're really going to love and value about that is that you get reflective and responsive support from me. You can listen to the recording as many times as you need. And you also get the benefit of learning from others' experiences. So somebody recently asked, who was interested in the group, asked about the time where they could only make half of the calls and didn't know if they should wait for another month. And my answer is no, don't wait and don't delay, because each month the themes are going to change depending on the needs and the focus area. And this first month that we're launching, we are really focused on divorcing from diets, practicing self-care and self-compassion, and those foundation pieces of Body Kindness. So you'll want to get that in the small group setting, but also you can email questions before the group. If you can't make the call, I'll be able to answer them on the group. And you'll also get the benefit of listening to the call from the group dynamic. So if you have any other questions, you can shoot me an email, Rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com. I'm happy to answer them. I know these groups are going to sell out, so be sure to check out bodykindnessbook.com/breakthrough today, because when the spots are gone, then we're done for this month, but you can get on the wait list for future months. I think you're really going to love this show. Bernie and I catch up with a couple of readers and listeners, and I just wanted to offer a trigger warning that in this episode, the listeners talked to us for a bit about past experiences with trauma. So we don't get into graphic details about the trauma, but just if you're feeling like right now hearing from a trauma survivor would not be helpful to you, then go ahead and listen to another episode where you find you could get some benefit. So I'd recommend any of the episodes in the Learn and Grow series, and know that that's a very good choice to choose to take care of yourself. You can always come back to this episode when you feel ready. Hey, Bernie, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Rebecca, and to all our podcast listeners out there. 2019 is going to be incredible.
Yeah!
I'm just speaking it into existence. I am speaking it into existence. Now, I'd like to tell everybody that I believe in that 100% wholeheartedly. So I'm going to. Yes, I believe in it 100% wholeheartedly. 2019 is going to be our year, Body Kindness podcast listeners.
Yes, it's, technically the last 2018 episode dropped on New Year's Eve. And maybe there are some people who are like me and spend it in their pajamas, eating popcorn and watching Times Square on their TV. But I was apart from my spouse on New Year's Eve this year. But the
Oh,
girls and I had a really awesome kiddo New Year's that, it starts at like 5. So it goes from 5 to 7 and you watch the fake ball drop on TV, and all that good
perfect,
stuff.
perfect. I didn't even know that was fake. I usually just crash out after that. No,
Yeah. So it's all good and kicking off the new year with just joy and happiness and all that good stuff.
no, absolutely. And this year, I'm just excited to be continuing on in my journey, in being more positive for myself, just all those things that you tend to start thinking about when the new year comes. And I know that we have our listeners out there who are really on their own journeys. We ended the year of 2018 with just having some of our listeners call on in. I thought that was super beneficial for myself. How selfish does that sound? But it was really great to hear where they were coming from and where they're at on their journey. It also got me thinking a lot about my journey. So that being said, on today's show, we do have some more listeners that are calling on in. So that's really exciting.
Yep. The first one we have is Christy. And we're going to go ahead and let her into the chat and welcome her on the show.
All right.
Hey, Christy, it's Rebecca and Bernie.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Christy, Happy New Year. This is Bernie. We're so thrilled that you have decided to share with us how body kindness has entered into your life and the effect that it's having.
Thank you. Happy New Year's.
Welcome, Christy. Thank you so much again for hopping on with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Bernie. It's good to be here. I am a trauma survivor and just recently discovered that I have had an eating disorder for probably most of my life. And I'm here to share how body kindness has helped me in my life and with my recovery.
Thank you so very much for deciding to do that. It's going to help out so many different people. How did you come across body kindness? Where were you first introduced to it?
It was shortly after the book was released, and I'm not quite sure if it was, when you browse Amazon and it tells you books that pair with what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And I clicked on the book and ordered it. And in that it's the first few pages. The introduction is a couple of pages long. And in that introduction, I felt like Rebecca was talking directly to me. And I felt this is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I'm feeling. And this is something that I felt that I could do.
I love hearing that. What were some of the struggles that you faced when it comes to your health and your body?
Well, as I mentioned before, I do have a significant trauma history, and my life was controlled by rules. Things were good or bad. I had to look and behave a certain way. I was told I was worthless, unlovable, that I had no options, and that everything happening to me was my fault. And my food was controlled by someone else. What I could and couldn't eat, food was withheld from me, and I was constantly being weighed. But the rules became comforting, and the things that were good or bad regulated my emotion, even long after the abuse. I used to think my eating behaviors were normal, and they weren't. I used to believe I could control my thoughts and feelings with the rules I learned in the abuse, and I couldn't. I used to let self-harm and my eating disorder continue to hurt my physical and mental health, and I'm still working on that in therapy. I am still struggling with the effects of trauma. I have physical and mental scars. I still struggle with the trauma voices that tell me I'm not good enough, and the eating disorder voices that tell me I need to restrict or purge just to stop the pain. And the voices are loud, and my voice is easily drowned out by those. Each day, hundreds of times a day, I have to choose what voice I'm going to listen to. It is not easy. It's hard and complicated and confusing.
Yeah, Christy, I am really moved by hearing your story because trauma is real and it's significant, and it happens to even the average person. The average person can experience a
Right.
trauma, but they don't call it a trauma. They don't recognize it as a trauma.
Correct.
And then there are people who are just like you and have had a significant trauma history where you would think that, gosh, like, can anyone get out of this? Is there's so much suffering and so much pain, and how could I possibly find freedom? And it even surprised me hearing from you that you felt body kindness was a helpful tool, along with your therapy, of
Right.
course, right? But that you felt that what
Mhm.
the words that were in body kindness were helpful in your trauma story.
Yes.
And that's why I wanted to make sure that we talked, because I almost don't even believe it, right? Because I haven't been through what you've been through. I don't know your story. And so if there's any way that your experience can help other listeners who might think that body kindness would not help them with their trauma, and you're saying it does, then we need
Yes.
to tell that story.
Yes.
So can you share how body kindness has helped you?
Absolutely. After reading Body Kindness the first time, I realized that my body was doing everything it could to help me survive. I had been blaming my body for being broken and unlovable, and then I realized I never thanked my body for surviving the abuse, for keeping me alive during the torture, and I should not be alive today. My body hadn't betrayed me. It had helped me survive. And this made me wonder what it would look like if I treated my body as an ally instead of the enemy, which is core in the book. I'm learning to live openly with my trauma instead of living in the trauma. And I've learned to slow down and ask myself, what do I need in the moment? And once I know what I need, I'm able to give it to myself or ask for help.
Wow.
Body kindness has helped me learn that my feelings and thoughts are valid, even the hard ones. One of my favorite quotes from the book is, "You can't hate yourself healthy."
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I can't hate myself to recovery, but I can choose to treat myself with kindness and compassion. Through practice, I'm learning how to look in the mirror and thank my body for all the things it does without being asked. Body kindness has showed me that I can do hard things, that I can help myself, and I can also ask for help and support. It is teaching me that I have a choice. I have preferences and options, and I get to decide what works best for me. And I no longer have to follow someone else's rules. It's also taught me that I can make space for where I was, where I am, and where I want to be. And it's okay to want to get better and still be scared, because I don't know what getting better looks like. And don't get me wrong, trauma recovery is not easy. It's hard and unfair. Trauma doesn't leave bruises, it leaves scars. Scars that stay with you even after the abuse stops. But the scars I carry still need to be nourished and cared for each day. And body kindness has given me some amazing tools to aid in my recovery.
You know what, Christy, this is Bernie. Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. That's actually one of,
Absolutely.
gosh, that was just so powerful. And I thank you. You know, it seems as though body kindness has spoken to you, especially the quote that you shared, which is one of my favorites
Right.
as well. It really helped me in my journey. I
Mhm.
love that it's helped you on yours. The you can't hate yourself healthy. Um,
Right.
it obviously, I and you, we still have a lot of work to do, but for our listeners, what could you share maybe what some of your intentions for this new year and beyond might be?
Absolutely. I really want to focus on continuing to cultivate my inner caregiver voice and build that connection of trust with my body. In dark times, I want to be able to lean in the direction of my values, even when it feels wrong. I want to find the courage to speak my truth. I want to strengthen my inner compass, and I want to learn to live with my trauma scars and heal my soul and never give up on myself. And I want every listener to know that I know how it feels to be broken and scared and hopeless. I know how it feels to doubt yourself and your ability to do hard things. So if you are doubting what body kindness can do for you in regards to trauma or an eating disorder, I want to tell you from experience that it can help a lot.
Oh my goodness. I'm I just I'm personally just kind of moved and touched by your story. You are so powerful, and I say that not knowing the trauma that you've endured. I just am hearing you speak, and what I'm hearing is someone who is powerful beyond belief. And I can't thank you enough for being willing to share your story, especially, in regards to how, gosh, I say our Rebecca, like I wrote the book, but I mean, this is the type of,
Right.
Well,
I
we're
do,
all
I don't,
practicing it. We're all trying
yeah,
to do
no,
body
but,
kindness.
but I feel such an attachment to both the Body Kindness book and also to your story, Christy, because I saw a lot of myself in your story, and I hope that our listeners out there can see themselves in Christy's story. We carry with us trauma that maybe we haven't even labeled as trauma. Christy, you
Right.
you have identified that, and I that in and of itself is so powerful. But to be able to then take the necessary steps to care for yourself, to work on that inner voice that is going to be kinder, to realize that you're not the one to blame and that you do have power and control over how you move forward is so, so powerful.
Christy, I'm curious, because trauma will always be what you went through, will always be there, will always be a part of your past, right? But
Right.
how do you do that where you can, is it acceptance? Like, I accept what happened to me, but I'm not defined by it. And I get to decide about this moment. I get to decide this moment, right? Like, whether it's I am going to bed because I'm getting that walk in the morning, right? That's kind of classic body kindness stuff. Or
Right.
I get to decide that I hear this voice saying, don't eat. And I can label that as something that's unhelpful to my values.
Yeah, it's moment by moment, and I only have to choose in this moment. And food, for example, if it's time for me to have a snack, and I can choose not to have the snack, or I can choose to have the snack. And if I choose not to have the snack, it's okay because I can choose again in the next moment, and I can have the snack. And it's the same for going to bed, going to work, interacting with other people, having a life outside of the trauma. And it really comes down to my values. And I really believe that when you move in the direction of your values, then it makes a huge difference. Whether that's eating the snack, getting up and going for a walk, interacting with people that you love and care about, all of those things matter. So for me, they're all little spiral ups, which is also mentioned in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And they build and build and build and build. And I have bad days. I have really bad days where there's a lot of no's, and that's okay. And I accept that and try my hardest not to be mean to myself for saying no.
When you say that, Christy, when you say try not to be mean to yourself, what are some of the things that you do to combat that meanness, that negativity. I know that's something that might be helpful to our listeners.
I think one of the most helpful things for me is for me to identify what's wrong, what I'm going through, acknowledge that I'm in pain or I'm remembering a specific trauma memory or I'm hearing the eating disorder voices telling me a bunch of stuff, and to not take the comment as the truth, to invite the thoughts in, and to tell myself that I've been here before, I'll be here again, and that I have all of these tools here to help me. So whatever the situation is, whether it's me telling myself that I can choose again, or I will get through this, or it's okay to feel not okay and still do what I need to do. And it's not so much that I am cheerleading myself, it's more of a truth telling, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
That's very comforting to me, because a lot of times, the cheerleading seems fake.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're able to tell yourself the truth, that, yeah, I'm having a hard day. I'm hearing the voices. I'm hearing, my own voice, and maybe this is how my day is going to go. But what can I do despite hearing those voices? I can get up and go to work. I can take a walk. I can have lunch. I can call my friends if I need help. I can reach out to my care team.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been probably more helpful than, the cheerleading, talk yourself up, you can do this,
Yeah, no, and that's
go,
what you just.
Christy.
Yeah, no, that's so powerful right now, what you just shared, because I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that maybe that just that doesn't work for them, that it doesn't feel genuine to who they are. And Christy, that for me, when you just said that, that's that was an incredible way to approach it and look at it, because I think that it's what's genuine, and
Right. Sometimes bubble baths and lotion and pampering yourself is not helpful, but just sitting with what you're going through, acknowledging it, accepting the truth, and asking yourself, and this is in the book as well, what can I do in this moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like if you're expecting the bubble bath to change the past, then the bubble bath is never going to work, right?
Right.
And yeah, there might be a time where you have time for a bubble bath, right? But what did you do first? It's okay to be here. This is hard. It's okay to have this difficulty. What's the next self-care choice I can make? I think I want to soak in some nice, warm, comforting water. That sounds good, right? So then now the bubble bath has a beneficial purpose, but that's sort of like Pollyanna, and it's everywhere. I mean, from Tony Robbins to the, I don't know where, oh gosh, I should, now her name's Rachel Hollis, girl, wash your face, right? Super. These people are like rich and famous. And it's actually really a problem, because what they do is they say, look, you're to blame for all the things you're struggling with. And if you want it hard enough, you'll fix yourself. It's actually it's a whole other podcast topic, actually, but it is such a dangerous,
it's horrible
message,
yeah.
And it was a struggle I had in writing the book, like, let's be real, in publishing, they want you to be prescriptive, right? And I'm trying to tell like everybody, but body kindness it's guideposts, like there's guidance, but it's not directive. It's not prescriptive, because people can decide what they need and how body kindness could work for them. I kept trying to say, remember those choose your own adventure books? It's kind of like that.
Right. So, and that's how I took I took the book when I purchased it.
Really?
I was able to relate everything in the book to my experience with eating, of course, and dieting and eating disorder. But really, I was able to connect it to the trauma in so many different ways. And body kindness is yours. And you've said it a million times that it's your journey, and body kindness is only for you. You're the only one who decides what that means for you.
So really quick, Christy, I know that I revisit pages. Sometimes I randomly open the book and see where I land and see if it speaks to me that day. I do that with the Bible as well, but that's a whole different. It really. Well, I just want to make sure. I love your book, Rebecca. I'm not comparing it, but
not the Bible.
Yes, no.
Right.
And I say but I I say that just because I know I've had to revisit the book. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, do you find yourself as well revisiting the book? I mean, how many have you read it more than once?
I've read it many times, over and over and over again.
I could totally
And when I'm struggling, I get the book because it's really a compass for me. It brings me back to what's important, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and it really helps to ground and center me. So yeah, I read it all the time. And like you, I'll flip through and just read a couple pages of whatever I pick. And, but I do have to say that introduction of, I don't know how many pages it is, 5 pages, is so powerful. And if anyone could read those 5 pages, that's what I would recommend.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your story. I know you helped a lot of people, and I know it wasn't easy for you. So it really means a lot that you decided to come on and share. Hi, Elaine. Welcome to Body Kindness.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Bernie. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Elaine.
We're so glad to have you here. It would be nice if you could just let the listeners know a little bit about yourself just to get us started here today.
Sure, absolutely. So I am a 41-year-old mom of 2. So I have a daughter who's 15 and a son who's 13, both of whom are also in bigger bodies. So we struggle with that a little bit and how to handle that. I've been married for almost 20 years really happily, which is really a great comfort for all of us. I live in Northern Illinois, so that's so I'm not too far from Bernie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go Cubs.
Go Cubs. Go Cubs for sure. And I have always dealt with body issues since I was a little kid. Like my earliest memories are definitely of feeling like there was something wrong with me and something wrong with the way that I ate and something wrong with my body. So it's always been an ongoing battle. I do work right now as a professional voiceover talent, which is great because I've always loved acting, and this is a wonderful way to do that and still support my family and be home with my children and around. And also it takes that any sort of physical biases that people might have out of the casting process. So it's been really awesome for me to be able to do that and keep a toe in the performance world and, have a good full life. I am a Weight Watchers recovery person, still working on disconnecting some of the negative messages and holding on to some of the positive messages. I think the first time I was in Weight Watchers, I was in 7th grade and in and out many, many, many times. And definitely now learning, your 20/20 hindsight of maybe why it wasn't working out so great. So that's where I am now.
So, I mean, what are some of the struggles, especially, you had touched on the fact that you are a voiceover actor, which I think is super cool, by the way.
It is super cool.
It really is. That's going to be a whole other show. But you mentioned something really interesting to me, and that was that it takes the bias out of the casting process.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about maybe an experience, or I just want to kind of see what that struggle looks like for you.
Yeah. So I have never taken an opportunity to really dive into professional theater acting. I was lucky enough to study acting and dance and music in college, which was awesome. But I always felt that I was not competitive enough because I wasn't fitting into that typical body. When I never fit the ingenue role, I wasn't that girl. So when you're competing for roles and you're 19, 20 years old, those romantic roles, those lead roles are going to go to women in a more traditionally attractive body. And I never had anyone specifically say you would do better if you were thinner, but I know that that's what was going on through college. And so I wasn't cast very well through college. I did a lot of community theater before I had my children, and I started getting cast when I lost a lot of weight and I was getting better roles. So, it's all what you learn a lot. People are much more open when you're on the thinner side about their biases about bigger bodies. They don't want to say it to your face if they are disapproving of your heavier body. But when you have a smaller body, it's very much easier for them to say things like, oh, thank God you've lost weight and thank God you're smaller. And
now you look how great you look now. Or,
right. Such a, they're so relieved for you. So I feel like
now I can finally cast you in the spot that you
exactly. Yeah. So now that my children are older, I'm trying to do more community theater, and I found some wonderful, wonderful groups. And I think that there is a lot more opening and a lot more diversity that's welcome within the theater community. I think especially race, disabilities, which is fantastic. And of course, I'm lucky to be privileged to be Caucasian and relatively attractive and able-bodied. But I'd like to see also that continuation to put someone in a bigger body in a romantic role, put a bigger body in a role that you wouldn't normally expect to see. I don't know. And I don't know how to bridge that gap. I think all that I can do is present myself for any role I feel I can play and trust that they'll absorb that confidence and that message from me that it's possible. And we'll just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like why representation matters, right?
Right.
More shows like Dietland, like Joy is an amazing actor, and there's, she needs to be included in more roles. There needs to be more opportunities like that. And when you say you don't know, a key component is the people of power need to proactively make that choice.
Yeah,
they need to be the ones that understand that how important it is that the people that we show on the stage and on the movies and on TV shows and all the different places that we, uphold as powerful positions, that the people that we show represent the diversity of our culture.
Yeah.
It's a big issue.
It is. And I feel like culturally there are a lot more celebrities and, actors and actresses. I think there have always been more actors in TV shows cast with a very thin, traditionally attractive female, and, the male was bigger. I feel like that has been demonstrated, and I think we are seeing more successful heavy-bodied actresses, which is super exciting. There are some of those movies where it's like there has to be some sort of like magic or fantasy happening for them to like be okay with it, but at least it's a start. And musicians too, I think, are coming out and being more open about, this is the body that I'm in and it's healthy and it's good, and here I am, take me for what I am. So it's a start, and I hope that starts to trickle down into, the communities that I'm involved with as well. And I trust the leadership in those communities to do that. Maybe they're just not there yet, but yeah, wouldn't it be cool to, go see Little Mermaid and one of the mermaids is a bigger woman, a bigger girl? That would be pretty amazing. So we'll get there.
No, absolutely. And, really quickly, I'm seeing and I'm noticing and I'm loving this, that you're very comfortable and you're accepting of yourself. Am I reading that wrong? But I mean, I'm getting that. I love it. I know that I have friends who are actors who have really been beat down by what you described in casting and the biases that they've experienced. How have you come through with this wonderful smile and energy? And I'll leave it there. I'll ask that first. I mean, how it affected you? I just love. You just seem to let it. I'll let you go.
Well, it's definitely been a process, and it's been a lot of work. I'm lucky. I have a really awesome family that made me feel good. Now, definitely, I got a lot of negative messages, especially from my mom as a wee little one. But I think, having the self-confidence built by family who loves me is a big part of why I can be confident now. But, this journey, this has always been in my head for years and years, this idea of, can I just focus on positive behaviors and not about my weight? I have so little control over my weight. Help me. I need help developing positive behaviors. So that's been in my head for a long time. And then just recently finding Rebecca and the Body Kindness book and some other leaders in this area have really helped me to understand, and accept and kind of move forward. And I write a lot for myself. I journal a lot and I write positive affirmations and, what are my priorities and what do I care about? And I am really healthy. I'm really lucky that I'm very healthy and I have a lot of energy and, that's I'm really lucky.
So quick question though. I mean,
Yeah.
you did start, and we did start off with talking a little bit about, Weight Watchers and the fact that you still felt the need to go there.
Yeah.
Explain that to me really quick. I mean, not to me, but to our listeners.
I mean, no matter how much self-positive talk you can give yourself, you're still bombarded with everything else in the culture. So it's this constant, putting up of walls to pick and choose what messages you allow to come through. And I think, again, listening to Rebecca and the podcast and reading through the book, and I've exposed myself to more of this world, looking at just as simple as looking at plus size models on Instagram instead of regular models. So, kind of like disassociating from the cultural norms has helped a lot. But you're still going to have those messages are still going to get through, and you're still going to think back to that time when you were in a smaller body. And gosh, it feels good to be in a smaller body. People treat you differently. They say different things to you. It's more comfortable to walk upstairs. So there's a lot of draw, besides the cultural draws, there's a lot of reasons. Maybe it would help my casting. There's a lot of different reasons to be drawn back into that. One of the things that, going back to Weight Watchers, one of the things that really draws me, especially to this new plan, is it's not a calorie restrictive plan. You can, and it really does kind of drive to that intuitive eating, but it's still in this case of diet culture. So I'm not going back to it because I understand that it's still in that case and that's not a safe place for me to be, but it does draw me.
I'm nodding my head as Rebecca is popping on, and I already know that look.
Well, all right. So what you're describing is, I think, the dilemma that a lot of people feel, right? Like, you do get social power just by participating in trying to pursue thinness. That elevates your social power. It's saying, well, at least I'm doing something about this disgusting body, right? So for listeners to understand that that's a social construct, it was put into your head from at least the age of 1, you've started to absorb those messages and process them. And so that's the record that you hear playing in your mind the whole time. And when you embrace body kindness, you're trying to find this caregiver, and it's like a whisper, and she needs time and strength to build, and you need to build a trust, and it does take effort. But it's so, I love your honesty with respect to look, there's still a draw and there's still a pull, because I think that's very real. I think a lot of people might say, well, body kindness isn't for me then because I can't effortlessly say 2 middle fingers to diet culture.
Right.
In reality, you feel like you have one foot in one camp and one foot in the other. And there's a constant pull by the power.
Absolutely. Yes.
And your livelihood and your job and how people will accept you and all these things that say, come to us. And so it takes work to be like, no, you're unhelpful. I've spent too many years. I think that is so valuable for listeners. But then you also said in your pre-email with us that you feel like you still struggle with doing body kindness things. So movement without being attached to oh, I really hope we lose weight, or
there's always that little needle. Oh, maybe.
So in the few minutes that we have left, I would just love to hear a little bit more about that, because I think we could give
Okay.
you some tips that would just help you personally.
Yeah.
Be beneficial for all the listeners who were like, oh, I love this interview because this is me. So
Yeah. When I was on Weight Watchers, I was running and I loved running. I set a goal for myself. I ran a 5K once a month for an entire year, and it was awesome. And then I ran a half marathon and it was not awesome. And the sad part of it is that I gained weight during my training of the half marathon. So it didn't feel like it really counted.
See,
I know, isn't that stupid?
No, but yes. And I don't say that often because your body was doing awesome things.
Uh-huh.
And, it's normal for your body to put on what it needs to do what you're asking it to do.
Right, because I was still limiting my calorie intake and I probably just needed to eat more. And I probably would have been much more successful. And then I stopped running because I wasn't losing weight. And I wish I talked to personal trainers, my Weight Watchers people, my friends, my own self. I wish someone would have just said to me, why don't you just keep doing what you're doing and not worry about losing a couple more pounds?
So hold on right there. Can you please tell that and say that and share that with our listeners? Can you just let them know what you just asked?
Keep doing those positive behaviors that make you feel good. And don't worry about if there's a weight change based on those behaviors, because there's other good changes that come from that. And that's what should matter.
I love it.
yeah, I think that, amen, right? But I think that, and also that a lot of the work in practicing body kindness is about reframing.
Mm-hmm.
And having other reasons why you're doing things. But usually with clients or people who write in, what I hear them struggling with is they feel like they're doing body kindness wrong because kind of deep within their core, they're still feeling like that they hear a voice that says, well, I hope this results in weight loss.
Yeah.
Or, I'm going on this hike in order to, tighten and tone and firm, just that diet culture stuff. And the thing that I think that can also push people to either avoid the self-care activities or push them to say, oh, I'm doing body kindness wrong. So maybe I do just need to jump back on WW again, right? Or Whole30 or whatever.
Right.
And what I say to people is that make space for the desire to be there. Like it is programmed in your mind. That voice is just stronger. You literally, if we could look into your brain, we would see the wiring that says, this is when we're going to tell her that it's not good enough because she didn't hit a PR. This is where we're going to tell her it's not good enough because she had grilled cheese and tomato soup and there was no crunchy broccoli on the plate. Those words are the words of your inner critic and perfectionism and diet culture. Those words are going to be there, but they're just words.
Yeah.
You don't have to respond to them by listening. And that's how you create your own suffering when you listen to them. And we're like, well, I just can't shop for fruits and veggies and nuts and put them on the plate because when I do, it's always about dieting. I know exactly the number of Weight Watchers points, or I know exactly, what this thing is. And it's just make space for that uncertainty to be there. And what you do instead is you say, okay, so I'm having the thoughts that I'm busy and I can't go on a long hike. And so I might as well do nothing today. I know that's unhelpful. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dance with my kids to 3 silly songs. And, after the dance, I could do some push-ups and planks and that's going to be enough. That is movement, So that kind of thing where you have to do your active reframing. But don't expect that body kindness is great, but it's not that magical, right? Like you're not going to buy the book and just because you read it, those thoughts never come back. So that's just my word of advice and wisdom toward you and toward other listeners is that it is okay to hear words of, I hope this is going to create weight loss. That just might need to be where your mind is today. Up to you to take meaningful action. This is what's workable today. This is what fits in my time. And this is my why. And make your why not about weight loss. And as long as you're doing that, you can let whatever words in your mind come. Just make sure you actively spend time on reframing.
Yeah. And I think too, you really have to break those expectations down. If, you say, I'm going to go for, just a 10-minute walk around the block every day. Well, sometimes you still can't even do that. You thought it was a manageable goal, but for whatever reason, it isn't. Then, I've been really trying to, then shift my goal. Like you said, okay, well, I could do 100 jumping jacks. That I could do. I don't have to put on clothes to go outside or my shoes. I don't have to, feel like I need to bring the dog. Like just keep going smaller and smaller until you're doing something positive. Because like you talk about, Rebecca, you spiral that up and then it's like, well, at least I did my jumping jacks today. That felt good. I took deep breaths and, my legs feel stronger and that felt good. So now you are pushed and more encouraged to do the next thing. But if the next day you can't do it, you can't do it. And it doesn't take away the value of the first day that you did the 10 jumping jacks or whatever it was.
Exactly. How would you, or what would you say to someone that's looking to give body kindness a try?
It's very private. And so I haven't really wanted to share it with a lot of people, except for like on a one-on-one basis. And then I kind of want to like secretly evangelize and be like, you need to get into this and check this out. But, I do have a friend who, she and I were in Weight Watchers together in 7th grade and she still struggles and has some very disordered eating habits. And, she still counts her oyster crackers every day and she is in a very small body and she's terrified of gaining weight. But all I can do is just say, hey, you should listen, just observe, just absorb. And, with her, too, we both talked about what are those the smart, what's the least you can do? Like, again, Rebecca suggests, maybe just change your Instagram feed so that you're getting more positive messaging and you're getting, follow Health at Every Size or, just to kind of expose yourself in a passive way and just to try to listen and absorb without that judgment, without making a decision. And the more you learn, the easier it is to kind of click with the other areas of your life.
Hey, thank you. Elaine, thank you for sharing. Really insightful. And Rebecca, thanks for also kind of telling our listeners, and I think I needed to hear it again too, that sometimes your brain is going to go towards certain things. It's okay, so long as we're understanding that there is room and we need to accept that kindness is the way to go.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for everything you've shared over really I've been listening since the beginning of the year and going back and listening to your older stuff too, but it's been really a great journey for me and I can't wait to see, what's next and keep on the journey with you guys. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thanks. Those were both two extremely powerful stories. I absolutely loved hearing from both Elaine and Christy. Rebecca, I got a lot out of this, and I really hope that we're able to do more of these. It's really eye-opening and great to see how body kindness is living in other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's making me wonder if we should do some more focus on trauma and get people's trauma stories, as well as helping professionals who are Health at Every Size informed, who work in trauma, if that could be something that could be helpful. So I think we'll have to think about that. And maybe if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, if you think that would be a good idea too, you can shoot us an email. Bernie is at bernie@bodykindnessbook.com and I'm at rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com. And that's our show. The podcast is made possible with support from listeners. Please donate to help offset production costs at gofundme.com/bodykindness. And please rate and review the show when you have a moment. It really matters. Let's keep the conversations going on Facebook. Search Body Kindness and request to join the group for Body Kindness readers and listeners. Have a question for us to answer on a future episode? Visit bodykindnessbook.com/question. Body Kindness books and audiobooks are available wherever books are sold. To request a signed print copy, visit bodykindnessbook.com/order. For other questions about this podcast, please email info@bodykindnessbook.com.